Hi everyone, welcome to the community classroom. This is Dr. Tracey McCarthy, psychologist, attorney, and educator. We already know that Dahomey and Benin are two of the big names in terms of understanding the transatlantic slave trade and that whole history. What we're going to do, however, is we're going to revisit some of our discussions related to the history of Benin, both the empire and the country, and the people in Nigeria known as Beni, and also something that no one else is talking about, the House of Benin. We're going to look at the motto, we're going to look at the totem animal, we're going to also look at the dispersion of this group to see if we can get a better understanding of the totality of the history of Benin. As always, if this appears on anything other than Dr. Tracey McCarthy, it is stolen and unauthorized. Let's get started. Now, we have frequently looked at the itineraries in terms of the transatlantic slave trade, and we've also looked at correlates related to names of principal places of purchase, places of landing. We've also looked at vessel names and sometimes the names of the captains and the owners of the ship. What we're going to look at now very quickly is a notation related to Benin not only being a place of principal purchase, but also the name of a number of vessels. And you can also see that there's a correlation between Benin as the name of a vessel and the principal place of purchase and ships coming out of Liverpool and Bristol. And this is all in the 1700s. Some of you may remember that Benin is not only a country, but that name has also been applied to a past empire, a past kingdom. And here we see a depiction, purported depiction, of the king of Benin in Negro land. And as with depictions of America, purported depictions of America, you can also find depictions of Africa in Ogilvy's work. And just as the Black Panther was important and integral to the identity of the fictional kingdom in Africa known as Wakanda, as you can see here, the leopards are integral to the understanding and the nature and the identity of Benin. And just as a quick reminder, the Edo people are also known as Bini, and they are the people of southern Nigeria who speak a language from the Benue-Congo branch of the Niger-Congo language family. And interestingly, this particular kingdom flourished between the 14th and 17th century, and this is also the time frame during which the Lancados were asked to leave Europe. And so this takes us back to a quick discussion of the first Benin, also known as Beni and Beni. And so we're going to quickly look at the first Benin prior to the kingdom and the empire, the country, and the people known as Beni inside of Nigeria. And what do we have here? We have Benin history, family, crest, and coat of arms information. What we have here is the ancestors of the Benin family took their surname from a place name. The roots of this place name lie in the ancient Viking settlers. So the Benin surname comes from someone having lived in the old barony of Beni in the parish of Opal in the county of West Lothian. And you also see here that the Benin surname was first found in West Lothian, and it has been there since very ancient times. And so clearly this precedes the 14th through the 17th century. And here we see that there are a number of spelling variations. You can see here some interesting ones. You have Benin, you have Bening, you have Beni, you have Bening, as in surname Bening, and a variety of other ways of spelling Beni and Bening. You also see the Benin motto for the Benin family, and that is by valor and craft, which also translates into by power and guile. And this ancient Benin surname is most noted in Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Ghana, and interestingly, India, Ivory Coast, Italy, Brazil, the Philippines, and France. And here you can see a variety of similar spellings related to Benin. And a quick look shows that West Lothian is in Scotland. One thing that's noted about this West Lothian area is that it is the home of a number of burial mounds. This is also a place where the King James V maintained a royal residence in Scotland, and also Mary Queen of Scots. And as another bit of trivia, you can see another impressive royal castle is at the edge of the village of Blackness. And also you can see that there's some interest in getting a better understanding of the Benin genealogy as it relates to Hebrew surnames. And we're going to quickly look at this heat map to see the prevalence related to this Benin family and this surname. And you can see that it is most hot, the block is hot, in Nigeria. And so you have a 100% match. Nigeria, global incidence 7,942. And you can see that it's extremely hot in the Nigeria area, but this name is widely dispersed pretty much around the world. And we previously noted the affinity for a number of individuals in the West African area, particularly in the Nigeria area, for wearing kilts. And you can see them playing in procession, playing bagpipes. You can see the individuals with significant tartan plaid, and tartan plaid actually signifies different families, so different clans. And so based upon this undiscussed relationship between Benin, Africa, and the Benin family of Scotland, this particular dynamic makes a little bit more sense perhaps. And so understanding this history of this name, the etymology, one of the things that might make more sense now is the military regalia in the history of the Benin Empire in terms of them wearing kilts, as you can see on the screen. Another thing to take note of is this dynamic whereby a number of individuals in Africa currently, and a number of individuals identified as African American, they possess the R1b haplogroup, and that means that there is a descent from a common ancestor. So there's a shared ancestor way back. And so this has been very notable because this is also the most common haplogroup for men who are now located in Western Europe. They also have one of these R1b branches. And previously there was the notion that the reason why quote-unquote African American men, Black American men, Negro American men, the reason that they had this was because their great-great-great-grandmother was assaulted at some point in time in the past by someone who was of Western European descent. And so you can see that this dynamic is a little bit more complicated than many people may have previously realized. If you want to read this entire article, you can see the information up here. It's in Human Genetics, and so you can read that. But again, this is very important information in terms of understanding the history of the name Benin, the people of Benin. And it's also helpful for shedding light on this dynamic of Iberian, quote-unquote, DNA finding its way throughout Africa, and then finding its way throughout the Americas. And so there was a significant amount of migration related to the Lancados, perhaps, that might explain this dispersion of this DNA. This should provide food for thought for individuals who are pretty insistent that all brown people in America are indigenous to America, and for those conversely who believe that all brown people in Africa are indigenous to Africa, because it is clear that you have individuals who are in positions now, but they may not have been in those positions historically. And so for those who are claiming expertise in American history and Indian history, it's important that those individuals get more clarity related to European history and Middle Eastern history and African history so that they can understand the totality of that dynamic a little bit better. Remember, knowledge is power. Take care and see you soon.